I used to think that rest was something that I had to earn. For most of my life, I actually believed that. I believed that rest was something that you earned, like you worked hard enough, you got through the list, you proved that you deserve a break, and then maybe you could rest. And the problem with that thinking is that the list is never done. There is always something else on it. So I never actually rested. I would work until I collapsed, until I crashed. And those are two very different things. And here's the thing that nobody really said out loud, but that a lot of us absorbed anyway, that rest is for people who have finished their work. That if you rest before everything is done, you are being lazy. That the woman who rests while things are still pending is the woman who does not care enough. And I actually believe that. I really did. And I would feel guilty taking a day off while I had things that were not finished. And not just a little guilty, like extremely guilty. Like I had done something wrong, even when I was exhausted, even when my body was telling me to stop, even when I had been going for weeks without a real break, without sleeping well. I would look at what was still on my to do list and I would convince myself that I had not earned my rest yet, that I had to do just one more thing on the list, and then I will rest. Does this sound familiar to you? So, where does this actually come from? Because I do not think that we just woke up one day and then we decided that rest was not for us. Someone taught us that, or life taught us that. We picked it up from somewhere. For me, as an immigrant woman, rest felt dangerous for a very long time. And I mean that literally. When I made the decision to stay in America and build something here against my family's wishes, with no safety net, no one to fall back on if things went wrong, stopping felt like it would cost me everything. If I slowed down for 1 second, the whole thing would fall apart and I would miss out on a lot of opportunities. Like the momentum I had was so fragile that any pause would break it. So I did not pause. I just kept going. And I told myself that was discipline. That's what was required. When honestly, a lot of it was just fear. And for Black women specifically, there's another layer to this. We grew up watching the women around us carry everything, work the job, run the household, raise the children, hold the entire family together, and show up for everyone else. And somewhere in watching all of that, we learned that this was just what we were supposed to do. That needing rest was weakness, that asking for help, it meant that you could not handle it, that the strong woman does not stop. So we became the strong woman who does not stop. And then we are wondering why we were so tired all the time. Let me clear something up because I think a lot of us have very narrow idea of what rest really means. Rest is not just sleep. Rest is anything that puts something back instead of taking something out. That's it. Whatever actually restores you, that is rest. And for some people, it is a long walk. For some people, it is sitting outside doing absolutely nothing. And for some people, it is a good meal that they actually eat slowly without doing something else at the same time, without watching TV or scrolling to your phone. And it can be a phone call that fills you up. It can be music that takes you somewhere. A whole afternoon, for instance, with no plan. Whatever brings you back to yourself, that is rest. And here is what rest is not. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not giving up on your goals. Rest is not giving up on yourself. Rest is not falling behind. Rest is not, oh, you're going to miss out on something. Rest is not something that you have to justify to anyone. I took a day off, full stop. That's it. That is the whole sentence. I took a day off. No explaining how hard you worked first, no proving that you earned it, and no apologizing for it. Just, I took a day off. And that is okay. Now, let me talk about what it actually costs you when you do not rest, because I think this is something that we underestimate. We think powering through is the strong choice, or we realize that it costs us a lot when we start being sick. But here's what actually happens when you never stop. First, you lose your creativity. You lose part of yourself. And I know that might sound weird, but the best ideas that I've ever had, they did not come when I was grinding and hustling. They came when I stopped. They came in the shower. They came when I was just taking a walk in the park with absolutely no destination, in the quiet sometimes, that I finally let myself breathe. The brain that is exhausted does not create. It's just managing all the time, and it gets you through the day. But the good stuff, the ideas that actually move things forward, those, they come when you give your brain space. And I think the second thing that happens when you don't rest, you lose presence. When you are always on, always doing the next thing, always thinking about what needs to be handled, you're technically there, but you're not actually present. So the conversations with the people that you love, the moments that you will not get back, the life that is actually happening while you are busy running from it, those go by. The third thing that it costs you, you make worse decisions when you're tired. When you are exhausted, everything looks harder than it actually is. Problems that are completely solvable, they start to feel impossible. Simple decisions feel overwhelming, and then you end up spending more time spinning in tired confusion than you have if you just stopped and rested first. Rest is not a break from work. Rest is what makes the work possible. There are things that I did that actually helped me with rest. First, I stopped expecting for everything on the list to be done, because here's the truth, the list will never be done. There will always be one more thing. Always, especially if you are a parent. So if you're waiting for the list to end before you rest, you're never going to rest. I started putting rest on the list, and it was not a reward at the end of the list. It is a scheduled thing that happens whether or not everything else gets done. In fact, I call it sacred time. The second thing is I stopped explaining myself. This was a big one for me because I used to feel like I had to report to someone, even if that someone was just myself, before I could take a break. You know, I worked for 6 hours today, so I deserve this. I answered all my emails, so it's okay now for me to rest. No more. I just rest. And especially now that I'm 51 years old, I listen to my body because I need it. And that is enough of a reason. The third thing, I started noticing what actually restores me, because not everything that looks like rest is actually rest. Scrolling your phone for 2 hours is not the same as rest. Watching something stressful on TV is not the same as rest. It is walk. It is listening to good music. I'm stuck on the 80s. A meal that I actually sit down to eat. Time where nothing is required of me. You just have to find your thing and then do it on purpose. I used to think that rest was a reward. I literally used to say that I have to earn my rest today. So I would work so hard. So for me, rest was something that I had to earn before I was allowed to have it. And because I could always find one more thing to prove first, I never really got there. So I just ran until I dropped. And then I got up and ran again and hustle again. And here's what I know now: rest is not a reward, it is a requirement. It is part of my routine. And it's not because I'm weak, it's because I'm human. And humans need restoration, not just production. And this is how we are designed. The woman that I am becoming, the one who builds from one place of freedom and not just survival, she rests. And not because everything is done on her list, because she understands that rest is what makes everything else in her life possible. And I am giving myself permission to be that woman, starting now. You do not have to earn your rest. You just have to decide that you are worth it right now, before the list is done. In fact, the list being done doesn't matter. You are worth it before everything is handled, before you feel like you have done enough, because you are enough. All right, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Webley, and I want you to drop a comment below and tell me, when is the last time you actually rested without feeling guilty about it? I want to read every single one of your answers, and remember to hit subscribe because I will see you in the next one.